California, often seen as the land of endless sunshine, Hollywood dreams, and Silicon Valley innovation, is now at the center of a political storm that could ripple far beyond its borders. What's unfolding here isn't just another local political maneuver. It's a move with the potential to shift the balance of power in Washington, D.C., and change the course of national politics for years to come. Imagine a game of chess where every piece you move affects not only your own board but also the boards of players in other rooms. That's exactly what's happening in California right now. And if you think this is just another political shuffle, think again, because the stakes couldn't be higher. Before we get into the details of this high-stakes drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap the like button, and share this video with your friends so more people can understand the magnitude of what's at play here. Now, let's dive into what's really happening and why it matters. Governor Gavin Newsom has announced a special election to present new congressional district maps, a move that has caught both political analysts and voters off guard. These maps aren't just lines on paper, they're the invisible architecture of political power. They decide which voters get grouped together, which candidates have a fighting chance, and which party could hold an advantage for the next decade. And in a state as massive and influential as California, those lines could be the deciding factor in who controls the U.S. House of Representatives. This all comes at a time when Republicans have made strategic gains in other states, most notably Texas, where redistricting efforts have tilted the playing field in their favor. California's move is widely seen as a counterbalance, an attempt by Democrats to protect their stronghold and prevent those gains from tipping the scales nationally. Newsom has framed the decision as a defense of democracy itself, saying that fair representation is at stake. Critics, however, accuse him of playing the same political games he claims to be guarding against, using the state's influence to shore up his party's chances in Washington. To understand the weight of this decision, it's important to realize that California isn't just any state. It's the most populous state in America, home to nearly 40 million people and 50 congressional districts. That means any change in its political map can have a direct and substantial impact on the composition of the House. One flipped district here or there could be the difference between which party sets the legislative agenda in the nation's capital. This isn't the first time redistricting has stirred controversy. Throughout American history, the process has been a battlefield of power, often accused of favoring one party over another through a tactic known as gerrymandering. The term comes from the early 19th century when Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry approved a district shaped so oddly that it resembled a salamander. Ever since, the drawing of district lines has been a potent political weapon, and California is now wielding it in a very visible way. Newsom's announcement has energized Democratic voters who see the move as a necessary counterpunch to Republican gains in other states. At the same time, it sparked outrage among Republicans in California, who argue that the governor is undermining the state's independent redistricting process in favor of a partisan outcome. The reality is that both sides know exactly how much is at stake: the power to influence legislation on issues like immigration, climate policy, health care, and the economy, not just in California, but nationwide. Political strategists are already running simulations to see how the proposed changes could affect the next election cycle. Some projections suggest that Democrats could secure 3 additional seats in the House, which might be enough to maintain or regain control if the margin is slim. Others warn that the changes could backfire, energizing Republican turnout in key swing districts. Beyond the numbers, there's also a question of trust. Voters are growing increasingly skeptical of both parties' claims of fairness in the redistricting process. While Newsom insists that the new maps will ensure every Californian's voice is heard equally, opponents point to past examples where promises of fairness masked strategic advantage. It's a reminder that in politics, transparency often depends on where you're standing. The national implications are huge. If California's move inspires other Democratic-led states to revisit their district maps, we could see a wave of strategic redistricting across the country before the next major election. That could lead to even deeper polarization as both sides dig in to secure their turf. On the other hand, it might also spark renewed calls for federal oversight of the redistricting process, potentially reshaping how districts are drawn in every state. In the coming months, the debate will intensify as the special election approaches. Campaigns will ramp up. Political ads will flood screens, and both parties will pour millions into swaying public opinion. California voters will face a critical choice, not just about lines on a map, but about the kind of representation they want in Washington. Will they back Newsom's vision of protecting democracy through strategic map changes, or will they reject it as partisan overreach? One thing is certain, the outcome will be closely watched across the nation. The fight over California's congressional map is more than a local skirmish. It's a chapter in the ongoing struggle for political dominance in America. And whether you live in California or across the country, what happens here could very well shape the political future you wake up to after the next election. So, as this story unfolds, remember that politics is rarely just about policies and ideals. It's about power and the quiet, often unseen decisions that decide who holds it. California is making one of those decisions right now. And if you think the rest of the country isn't paying attention, think again. This is one political storm whose waves will reach far beyond the Pacific shore.